So we're going to get started with book 4 of Clarissa. And the scene I decided to go through with you is an argument between Clarissa and Lovelace. This is letter 19, so it's a little further along in the book, but hopefully it will get you excited. So Clarissa and Lovelace are arguing, and I think the particular communication impasses they continually find themselves at are really one of the tragedies of the novel. And there's something very modern about a communication breakdown yielding tragedy. Love, sir, who talks of love, was not merit the thing we were talking of. Have I ever professed, have I ever required of you professions of a passion of that nature? But there is no end of these debatings, each so faultless, each so full of self. So she's arguing with him. He thinks he has no faults. He's so full of himself. And then his response: I do not think myself faultless, madam, but that but is always like, well, okay, I guess I do. And then her response: but what, sir, would you ever more argue with me as if you were a child, seeking palliations and making promises? Promises of what, sir? Of being in future the man it is a shame a gentleman is not? Of being the man— Good God, interrupted he, with eyes lifted up, so he's rolling his eyes. If thou wert to be thus severe— Well, well, sir, impatiently, I need only to observe that all this vast difference in sentiments shows how unpaired our minds are. So let us— and then he interrupts again. So, you've noticed in reading the other letters that, we have, paragraph upon paragraph in the epistolary form, where people get to think about things at length, where people get to talk about their ideas and really express themselves. And what we have here is two live people together who can't have a conversation. It's filled with interruptions and miscommunications, and shaming back and forth everywhere. You're acting like a child, and then he rolls his eyes. Well, there we are. And then her comment, I think, how unpaired our minds are, is really well stated. When people are writing to each other and communicating, and he writes beautifully and she writes beautifully, and it seems like this might be a possible relationship to work, at least early on in the book, she's seeing that their minds cannot work together, and that's important to her. I mean, certainly her mind wouldn't have been well paired with Solmes, but Clarissa is realizing that the person she is wants someone she feels that way about. So then his response: Let us what, madam? My soul is rising into tumults. And he looked so wildly that I was a good deal terrified. Let us what, madam? So he's looking at her, and he looks scary, and she's worried because she's still in a powerless position. I was, however, resolved not to desert myself. Why, sir, let us resolve to quit every regard for each other. Nay, flame not out. It's like it happened yesterday, you can see trying to say something to somebody, and then the response starts to come, and you see it coming, and you go, don't flame out. Nay, flame not out. It's perfect. I am a poor, weak-minded creature in some things, but where what I should be, or not deserve to live if I am not, is in the question. I have a great and invincible spirit, or my own conceit betrays me. Let us resolve to quit every regard for each other that is more than civil. This you may depend upon. I will never marry any other man. I have seen enough of your sex, at least of you. A single life shall ever be my choice, while I will leave you at liberty to pursue your own. And then, so this is what Clarissa proposes. Let's break it up. I don't think this can work. We are unpaired. I don't want to marry anybody else. This isn't that. I'm done now. I want out. I just want to get out of this courtship conversation forever. And you go ahead and do whatever you would like. And his response, indifference? Worse than indifference, said he in a passion. Interrupting him, she says, indifference let it be. You have not, in my opinion at least, deserved that it should be other. If you have in your own, you have cause, at least your pride has, to hate me for misjudging you. So, she's like, okay, all right, that's fine, we're breaking up. And then his response, it's like, no, I still desire you. And in a way, her breaking up with him makes him want her more and inflames his desire, which, as we humans know, is not a good sign of a healthy relationship. So he says to her, dearest, dearest creature, snatching my hand with fierceness, let me beseech you to be uniformly noble. Civil regards, madam. Civil regards! Can you expect to narrow and confine such a passion as mine? And, you can't just make me your friend, which, again, this is like conversations that happen today. Such a passion as yours, Mr. Lovelace, deserves to be narrowed and confined. It is either the passion you do not think it, or I do not. I question whether your mind is capable of being so narrowed and so widened as is necessary to make it be what I wish it to be. You've got to put up or I won't be with you, and I don't think you can do it. Lift up your hands and your eyes, sir, in silent wonder, if you so please. But what does that wonder express? What does it convince me of but that we are not born for one another? So, okay, this isn't working out. I don't think you have the capacity to be a good partner for me. And, when his desire is preventing him from really understanding what he needs to do differently. And again, he keeps touching her even though she's trying to leave, which is very disturbing, and it presages all kinds of things to come. By my soul, said he, and grasped my hand with an eagerness that hurt it. We were born for one another. You must be mine. You shall be mine. And put his other arm around me. Not a good idea. Although my damnation were to be the purchase. I was still more terrified. Let me leave you, Mr. Lovelace, said I, or do you be gone from me. Is the passion you boast of to be thus shockingly demonstrated? You must not go, madam. You must not leave me in anger. I will return when you can be less violent, less shocking. And he let me go. That's, that's it for now. And so this is on, starting on page 339 of the edition that we have. This is an intense scene. She's trying to communicate, and it is hard to get past his ego when she's trying to communicate to him. And his response to her is physical expression and this kind of physical reaction that he has. She mentions that he's lifted up his hands and his eyes in silent wonder. It could seem like a religious experience, but it's actually just him kind of shrugging it off and, looking to the heavens for answers. Well, I guess I'm going to get some water in a minute. But yeah, I wanted to make sure we kind of walk through passages like this to see the difference between dialogue, between interactivity, and the relationship that all of these people have in letters. When they're actually trying to talk to each other, a lot of problems come out. And I think that's saying some things about the limitations of writing when it comes to human relationships. But it also says something about how people can idealize writing when it comes to understanding how they interact with the world around them. We saw this to some extent in the female Quixit as well. That is it for now, but I will post our Google Docs exercise soon. Take care.